The following is a presentation of TFNN. The Power Trading Hour with your host, David White. Call now, toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044. Now, David White.
And welcome, everybody, to another action-packed edition of the Power Trading Hour. And, wow, we just had the FOMC meeting notes out and a huge one-point swing in the S&P cash. Whew. I don't know. My heart be still. It's been a quiet day here at Lake Wobegon. Yes, it has been. We're up 1.5 points on the S&P cash. Very interesting that the volume has been for almost no movement. It's fairly consistent with the previous 2 days. We just turned 2 billion shares on the NYSE consolidated tape. The meeting notes to me look like they are still thinking that it's time to raise rates a little bit. And I think that's kind of put the kibosh on any kind of huge move in the market. I only got a brief look at them, but we'll see how the market reacts. 2,400 on the S&P cash, up 2 points. Volume just now cracking 2 billion shares. Again, summer trading in effect, along with some earnings that probably a little bit more disappointing than a lot of people thought they may be. Lowe's is down $2.50. It was down about $3.80 at the open. And, of course, everybody wants to buy anything that is a dime cheaper. Always a good sign of euphoria. A few other earnings out there with Buffalo Wild Wings. We'll talk about that. And we'll see what happens with the FOMC meeting notes, but looks to me like a collective yawn in a market that has no volume as we go higher. As always, we'd like to come to you at this time.
The following takes place between 2 p.m. and 3 p.m.
No, I didn't hear anything on the other side. Maybe it happened or not. What else do we have going on? That's about it. We're going to go right to a little bit of history and history repeating.
That it's all just a little bit of history repeating.
It is history repeating, and on this day in 1941, Germany's largest battleship, the Bismarck, sinks the pride of the British fleet, HMS Hood. The Bismarck was the most modern of Germany's battleships, a prize coveted by other nations' navies, even while still in the blueprint stage. Hitler handed over a copy of its blueprints to Joseph Stalin as a concession during the days of the Hitler-Stalin Neutrality Pact. The HMS Hood, originally launched in 1918, was Britain's largest battle cruiser ever, but also capable of achieving a relatively fast speed of 31 knots. It did so by cutting down on a lot of weight with armor on its deck. One shell went 4 stories down, or actually 5 stories straight down through the deck, almost like butter, into the magazine, and a single explosion later, there were only 2 or 3. How many survivors left? I think there was only 2 or 3 left. Of course, that started out we've got to sink the Bismarck. The problem was that they thought that the Bismarck would get up and above into the North Sea and back above Germany. And a lot of, especially from the United States, a lot of goods were going to Russia to fight Germany. And they thought that if the Hood got up there, it could sink convoy after convoy, and no one could really touch it. The weather was so poor that carriers could not get up there and torpedo it. So this was their one chance to get it. They were very lucky. But this, I think, was the last time that a battleship literally sunk yet another battleship. From then on, it was all carrier forces attacking other big ships, and pretty much put an end to the big battleship. although we may be making a return fairly soon. One of the reasons why is a thing called a rail gun. It shoots a hunk of magnetized or magnetizable metal at about speeds equal to, what would you say, an asteroid coming in from outer space. We all know that even small asteroids can cause huge problems, and they can shoot these things at a speed of upwards of 25,000 miles an hour. And right now, I think they can hit something the size of a manhole cover at 190 miles away. So there may be a little of this coming back with these new rail guns, but for the most part, today, 1941 was the last time a battleship really sunk another battleship by itself. Bismarck was sunk, 3-4 days later, but for the most part, it was sunk by repeated torpedoing by biplanes from the First World War that just repeatedly hammered it. And many people believe, still to this day, that the Bismarck never would have sank. It could have sat there and taken shot after shot, that the captain himself opened the scuttling valves at the bottom of the ship and sank it himself. On this day in 1941, we had real problems, not the kind of so-so problems we have today. Net neutrality had lots of people asking me about why this thing is even an argument. And the reason why, if you don't know what net neutrality is, it basically says if I send an email or a video or anything else, doesn't matter what it is, all those bytes as they go across the internet are all treated the same. And on the surface, this sounds like a very great thing, and it is. The argument for net neutrality, absolutely 100%, we should have it. The downside is that there are people who hate free speech. These people are particularly evil. They take huge amounts of money from a non-U.S. citizen, upwards of $100 million. The reason why is if they can make these the internet a utility, they can regulate it. And a lot of these little Hitler youth want to actually go after websites that they don't like because of their opinion or the news that they represent, not because they want to kill anybody or ask anybody to kill someone else. Not that they're trying to get anybody to become an Al-Qaeda agent or anything like that. Literally, they don't like their political opinions, so that they're going to shut it down. And, of course, a couple of the FCC people that were not reappointed directly went to our favorite Hungarian convicted insider trader. He has spent almost $200 million trying to push this through. And it isn't because he thinks that Comcast is that bad. It's because they all want to get this into the government where they can control free speech. So net neutrality, good. The way they want to do it is somewhat Stalin-esque. So we may have to eat this to continue to have free speech. We'll be back after this.
TFNN is excited about our new software charting program, The Art of Timing the Trade Charts. In collaboration with Tom O'Brien and using his best-selling book, The Art of Timing the Trade, Your Ultimate Trading Mastery System, David White has programmed an outstanding piece of software that will complement any trader's methodology. Using this first-of-its-kind program, The Art of Timing the Trade Charts allows you to scan thousands of stocks for Fibonacci formation setups, including Gartley's, ABC's, butterflies, and much more. The Art of Timing the Trade Charts is designed to help you when scouring the markets for stocks just beginning to form the trading patterns that many investors spend days, weeks, or even months searching to find. And right now, we're offering licenses available at only $79 a month. We are so confident that you're going to love this new charting software software that will even give you a 30-day unconditional money-back guarantee. Don't miss out on this incredible new piece of software. Get your copy of The Art of Timing the Trade Charts today by visiting TFNN.com.
Tiger TV is an exciting way to experience TFNN programming. See high-definition video giving you crystal clear charts, as well as seeing some of the faces of TFNN's highly acclaimed financial experts with crisp, full-fidelity sound. Catch Tom O'Brien, John Logan, Steve Rhodes, Basil Chapman, Larry Pesavento, Think or Swim, David White, Andy Hecht, and Daryl Martin in crystal clear, high-definition audio and video. Tiger TV, exclusively at TFNN.com. Platinum, grains, crude oil, gold, copper, cattle, hogs, gasoline, natural gas, coffee, cotton, cocoa, and sugar. These are just some of the commodities mentioned in the most recent issue of Andy Hecht's Techno-Mental Commodity Report. Andy publishes his weekly newsletter every Thursday morning, where he breaks down the commodity market and provides his subscribers with specific trading recommendations based on his trading methodology. By signing up for a free trial to the Techno-Mental Commodity Report, you'll get a full 30 days to try out this powerful newsletter service and see for yourself the types of trades Andy has recommended for his subscribers. When you sign up for a 30-day free trial, you're under no obligation to pay anything. And should you decide to continue, you will lock in the low rate of only $79 a month. Sign up right now for the Techno-Mental Commodity Report and make sure you're ready to catch the next big trade in commodities. For more information and to get started today, visit the front page of TFNN.com. Many of our new listeners have heard about the Tiger's Den, but wondered, what exactly is it? The Tiger's Den is a lively community where professional traders and investors can meet, exchange ideas and information in a comfortable, moderated atmosphere. Hear all of your favorite TFNN shows, plus see all the charts as they happen live during those shows and have access to all those charts. You can test drive the Tiger's Den absolutely free for 30 days. It will greatly enrich your knowledge of these markets. Details on the Tiger's Den are on the front page of TFNN.com. Dave takes your phone calls now. Toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044.
I'm going to be doing a webinar coming up soon. We don't have a date. We're going to probably post it next month sometime. It is all about machine learning and its application to trading, especially technical trading in the stock market. I want your input. If you were trying to decide just how specific we need to get, if people are looking for a executive overview, or if they actually want to know how to use and program this stuff themselves. So you can always give me an email at path@tfnn.com. That's PATH at tfnn.com. But I'm going to say that this is the most significant change in technical analysis in maybe 50 years. And if you want to get on board, we're going to have this webinar. So if you want to know how and what and why, do you want to learn how to program this stuff yourself? Do you want to just understand the charts and a lot of the other stuff I'm going to be putting out across the summer? Just drop me a note, path@tfnn.com. Again, you can give me a call at 877-927-6648. We were talking about Lowe's coming out with earnings this morning. Oop, L-O-W, not S. We'll get to that. And it did gap down fairly extensively. You've got to look at support coming in at about $77. We got down to $78.40 today. My guess is in the next couple of days. There is a double gap that goes back to the high of 21st of February. It did so on about 5 million shares. Today's volume already is 14 million shares. And again, this looks a lot different than what Home Depot is showing. That's probably because of the different markets these guys are in. Even though Home Depot did have earnings, it kind of gapped down on those, and it has been moving down. It hit 153.29, although it repaired a lot of its damage today. That damage does continue. We've got, did have some other stocks that really kind of bounced today, but for the most part, these things are just kind of wildly gestating around and not seeing a lot. Buffalo Wild Wings, BWLD, another one with news today. Now, this one actually has gone up today, and the volume is fairly decent. Again, there's a fairly decent gap down that this had on earnings on April 27th. Did so on 940,000 shares. Today, we're up on 881,000 shares. So I think we're going to see about that 162 or 3. This may be one of these nice counter trend moves, as a lot of people were short this thing. But give it a handful of days. If this thing gets up to the 162, 163 area and it's got no volume, that may be all she wrote for Buffalo Wild Wings. I've been through a couple of them in the last couple of months, and the amount of people in it has been fairly low. So this is anecdotal to this point, but this may be a company ready to turn south in a big way. Up 4 points on the S&P. Cash volume not really all that exciting. 2.122 billion shares on the NYC consolidated tape. So again, kind of going back to what we were doing before, which is a whole lot of nothing. We've had some bounces out here today. Nothing to really write home about. A lot of this is just short covering. Over the last couple of days, they put up a couple of these stocks, but volume has been rather low. Let's take a look at the FANG stocks to start off the day. MSFT, because they, of course, are the only stocks getting any love for a while. And again, Microsoft opened up a little higher today, but most of these FANG stocks look like they could drop like a rock come next week or even in the next couple of days. Today up on 7.5 million shares. That's compared to the spike up on May 16th that had 40 million shares. The next day we were down on almost 31 million shares. So again, just almost no volume to be had. A lot of talk around Netflix this morning, but not much movement to be had. This thing did come down on 8.2 million shares on the 17th of this month. It's come back up just to that gap. And what do we got? 1.9 million shares compared to that 8.2 on the way down. So we did bounce up again. Almost all these patterns we've been talking about are these 3x3 repo patterns. And in these patterns, we are talking about something like 10 or 15 days above the 3x3, a couple of days below it, a couple of days above it. And the next close below it is when these things fall out of bed. Now, this one doesn't have enough downside for me. I think that there's lower hanging fruit out here with bigger ability to fall. But this 145 area, I suspect, is probably where this thing is going to go to if the market does pull back even the tiniest of bits. Again, volume continues to be tepid since the FOMC meetings at the top of the hour. Let's take a quick look at Amazon. They keep flogging this on infotainment TV. Probably the best stock for just pure unadulterated belief that it can only go higher and almost no belief that it can go lower. What we do have today is 1.4 million shares so far compared to 2.4 million shares yesterday. Again, just a little higher. Now, this one is one of the few stocks out here that doesn't have any real signal of anything going on that would be untoward. Facebook, another story. Again, this is one of these patterns where any day now you get a close below these 3x3 moving average, and it is a big, big sell signal for me. You've got your big move starting on the 17th of April. You hit your high on May 3rd. It pulls back a little bit. You come down on big volume of 28.3 million shares on the 17th. You come up the next day with 23 million shares. Then volume just keeps shrinking. We had 13 million shares yesterday. We're going to do just a little bit better as this thing pushes higher today, but it's still going to be significantly less than the 28.3 million shares we had on the way down, probably maybe by, maybe we're going to have 6/10 of the volume that we had last Wednesday. So very light volume move out here, and it's a lot of these things. We don't have the confirmation on them quite yet, but we are extremely close on many of them. XLK, take a quick look at this. Again, these big moves up, couple of days underneath it, couple of days over it. Now here's where you really look for the signal, which we do not have. But any close below these moving averages over the 3x3 displaced moving average over the next few days is your sell signal. So keep a close eye. Any little dip out here that goes underneath these, you're going to start seeing a variety of big sell signals. And it's just very tough for me to see how anybody without a decent reversal in this market wants to buy a high. But gamblers and speculators, two very different candidates. Give me a call.
The Path of Least Resistance is David White's daily trading newsletter, and if you're looking for active trading ideas, then now's a perfect time for a 30-day free trial to this powerful daily trading advisory service. David uses his years of trading experience to offer his subscribers his trading ideas each morning in his Path of Least Resistance newsletter. Using a combination of equity trades along with options, David keeps his subscribers up to date with all pertinent market information with intraday afternoon updates when warranted. Don't miss out on this great chance to get a 30-day free trial to David's daily newsletter, The Path of Least Resistance, with no obligation to pay anything. David has been delivering solid recommendations for his subscribers recently, and if you'd like to see the type of newsletter he delivers every morning, then visit the front page of TFNN and you'll find The Path of Least Resistance under Trading Newsletters. For all the details and to start your 30-day free trial today, log on to TFNN.com now. Biotech is booming, but for how long? Whether you think the biotech bull has room to run or has run its course, trade LABU or LABD. Directions Daily S&P Biotech 3 times bull and bear ETFs. Visit directioninvestments.com/biotech today. An investor should consider the investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses of the Direction shares carefully before investing. The prospectus and summary prospectus contain this and other information about Direction shares. To obtain a prospectus or summary prospectus, please contact Direction shares at 866-476-7523. The prospectus or summary prospectus should be read carefully before investing. An investment in the funds is subject to risk, including the possible loss of principal. The funds are designed to be utilized only by sophisticated investors such as traders and active investors. Distributor Foreside Fund Services, LLC. Has the current market volatility continued to stop you out of trades when the market spikes against you? Now is the perfect time to open up an account with Nadex. Nadex, the North American Derivatives Exchange, is a brand new, completely regulated Chicago-based exchange, and unlike most other exchanges, Nadex allows you to trade directly through them with direct market access when using their completely free trading platform, which also features real-time charts and full customization capability. One of the advantages of trading with Nadex in volatile markets is that your risk is always capped and you have the ability of keeping your trades open even when the market spikes against you. Nadex is completely brand new with a line of unique trading products that are unavailable anywhere else. See how it works at nadex.com. That's NADEX.com. Or click on the Nadex banner on the front page of TFNN.com. Futures and options trading involves risk and may not be appropriate for all investors.
This segment is brought to you by Think or Swim. For more information, just click the Think or Swim banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
And let's see what else is going on out here on the list of stuff moving. And anything out here? WPT up 8%. Take a quick look at that. Nice pop in this one. Take a closer look. World Point Terminals. Unfamiliar with the stock. kind of a light volume stock, but a nice little pop in this one. About 500,000 shares, which is about 5 times more than usual. I'm sure there's some news on this. Certainly volume back up here. Maybe this is a little bit connected to the energy play. Notice that actually crude moved down after the EIA numbers today. It's trading about 51.60. It's trading about 51.30 now. Not much of a movement. Pretty much the API numbers put everything in. And it doesn't seem like the selling of the strategic petroleum reserve is going to do much. The numbers came out this morning, and they're looking to sell about 100,000 barrels a day out of it. And now that we have our own oil production, probably not a lot of reasons to have it anymore. So they can probably start emptying out. Yesterday in my interview with Andy Heck and Tom O'Brien's show, I was talking about whether or not the deep sea drillers are really the coal miners of 2017 and 2018, i.e. that there probably isn't a way for them to see past, as long as the shale oil comes out cheap enough, there probably isn't enough money in that business. Do they all go out of business? And I'm wondering if they are not the coal companies of next year. And he said he would write an article about that. So we continue on. Let's see what else is going on. AKG down 8%. This is the trust index is, I don't see anything new in this, just continued down move. So we did Amazon, we did Facebook, we did Netflix, we did Amazon. Did we do Microsoft? I think we did Microsoft. I was very kind of interested to see, no, we didn't talk about Microsoft, did we? Up on light volume today, 8 million shares compared to 15 million shares on a doji yesterday, and a little bit below that. Let's take a look at some of the other stocks in my list of things. Wanted to talk about it. The Valvoline, this thing is down on its previous low, but what you really don't like is this thing has hit this $22 level a couple of times. The last time with fairly decent volume of, let's see, what was it? Spiked down there with 2.4 million shares on the 26th of April. Just yesterday, you had 2.8 million shares. So it continues hammering out at this March 7th low that set up support a few times now with significant volume. Energy off the high also fairly significant. Energy's actually picked up 50% from this high of April 4th back down to this low compared to the move back up that started on May 7th and ended on that April 4th high. So a lot of weird stuff going on. The vitamin shops are finally falling apart. This thing was and has been kind of a giant scam for just about forever. Do I have? I think I may still have it. This was the stock that made me sure that I was never going to invest in Chinese stocks, just because nobody in the world was looking at their books. Do I still have that? I wonder if I still have this quote. May. What? Pick VIPs. Yep, here it is. I do have it. Vitamin shops. Now, this is very interesting because one of the big short sellers on the street went after this. And what they dug up is the fact that the books that they were showing us in the United States were basically inflated tenfold over what they were putting out in China. I don't know if this ever got solved, but again, there's nothing you really can do if someone wants to commit fraud in China for a stock. I always kind of like the idea that if someone does commit it, maybe they're going to go to jail, and maybe that'll keep them from doing it. But I remember this conversation. I think played it a couple of times, but I think I'll play it again.
You know, this is probably a first in a couple of regards. It's probably the first company to pre-announce earnings to the downside after already announcing their earnings date. and doing so 43 days after the quarter has ended. So you bring up a good point. Like, if it's a fraud, do they not even have enough control over their fake numbers to know what they were going to be when the quarter ended? I mean, I don't have a good answer for you then. But it's also probably the first internet company, depending on, mobile buyers, that has pre-announced earnings because of bad weather.
Right.
Yeah, there was a bunch of it.
Has that crossed your mind?
Absolutely.
Okay.
It crossed my mind with all my Chinese companies, and more with the Chinese companies than with the U.S. companies. And I think when you're dealing with this, there's a 5% chance I'm dead wrong, and this could be nuclear. But I don't think that that's the case.
But shouldn't the stock trade at a discount if there's a 5% chance that it's a zero? I mean, shouldn't the SEC, there should be a regulator. There's one regulator for these companies. It's the SEC. And the SEC has no ability to call the country of China.
And that continues on. I've watched the stock with interest over time just because it was probably the most provable company with books that were, I'm going to say, almost totally cooked back at that time. I don't know if they've ever gotten any better. I don't know whether stocks in China can actually do anything or more or less from that time. But the one that always, this, you can get by with this, always made me worried about what you could do with Alibaba. Now, this thing has done nothing but go up since the $86 low back here on December 22nd at 86 bucks, and now it's 126. Kind of just bouncing around a little bit. No signal on this thing to do anything. But I was thinking about China stocks when Moody's downgraded all of China today. And they think that there is a massive iceberg of risk. And when I talk about iceberg, there's 90% of what we don't see is risky in China just because of the ability of the government to make sure that no one can look into it. If you do, maybe you just disappear. Maybe you don't. Maybe just someone hit you over the head. They were trying to steal your wallet. That's it. But anyway, everybody knows that you don't go over to China, start asking any questions. They don't like it. And it's always made me nervous about these big companies, and especially the way that Alibaba and its CEO has run around depressing prices, buying his shares back. He's no stranger to pulling a fast one, and it's always bothered me. Anyway, no volume today, no signal out here in the charts. But again, it's one of those things where you just never know when one of these things comes out. No sign that Alibaba has any issues other than when you talk to the big short sellers on the street who have gotten out of this. That they still have 2 million people that they do not declare on their books that work for them in China. You just have to wonder what's actually underneath these things. Eventually, the music stops. And then the show is over. We'll be back.
If you're an active trader looking for that extra edge when it comes to trading and investments, then now is a great time to get a 2-week free trial to Tom O'Brien's daily market letter, Market Insights. Tom O'Brien's daily newsletter, Market Insights, comes out every market day at around 9:30 a.m. and provides Tom's daily commentary on the broad market, including the Dow, NASDAQ, and S&P, plus specific trade recommendations. There's even an update published most afternoons to keep you informed about the day's market activity. He'll give you the entry price, price target, and stop price of each stock and option trade. With Market Insights, there's nothing left to guessing. For all the details and to get your 2-week free trial to Market Insights started today, visit TFNN.com.
Today, it's hard to tell if the economy is coming or going. Regardless, I want my money going in the direction I choose. If that's your stance as well, then you want to know how Everbank can help keep your money thriving just the way you want. Is growing your money a priority? Everbank is committed to a yield pledge promise to pay high yields on your checking, money market, and CD balances. Looking to diversify? Everbank ingeniously developed accessible ways to spread your money around the world into foreign currencies and even non-FDIC insured metals. And when it comes to your wealth, they bring a highly experienced and global perspective to help you manage it. Everbank's financial philosophy flies in the face of the status quo. They believe your money's performance should not be determined by today's economic circumstances, but by the drive to rise above them and create opportunities that favor your objectives. If that excites you like it does me, visit everbank.com/TFNN to find out what they can do for you. Again, that's everbank.com/TFNN. Visit them today. Everbank is a member FDIC and equal housing lender.
TFNN is excited to offer a brand new piece of market scanning software unlike anything the industry has ever seen. John Logan and his team have spent years developing their market profile tools to finally be able to release the TAS Profile Scanner Plus. And right now you can get a 2-week trial absolutely free just by visiting TFNN.com and providing us your name and email address. The TAS Profile Scanner Plus is the premier market profile based scanner in the industry. Powered by the acclaimed TAS proprietary algorithms, this feature-rich scanner is a standalone desktop software that instantly filters over 2,500 global financial markets such as stocks, ETFs, commodity futures, and Forex. Within 3 minutes of signing up, you can have the software downloaded and running on your computer with a complete roadmap of market indicators and inflection points to trade off using the TAS Profile Scanner Plus. Sign up today and try this amazing piece of software by visiting TFNN.com.
This segment is brought to you by TFNN. Test drive all the newsletters for free at TFNN.com.
Now we're at 2401, which is kind of what we've been for the last 3 or 4 hours. Not much movement on that news from the FOMC and not much else happening. I did have run across these during the break. I thought I'd just bring them back. Very interesting calls from the beginning of the year from Jim Chanos on Alibaba. But when it's up here and we start seeing warnings from Moody's about debt, I think it's time to maybe start talking about these again. I think this was in February or January of this year from Jim Chanos.
I said, you don't see the entire operation of Alibaba. You don't see the actual fulfillment part, even though that's what they do. And Mr. Tsai said, well, yeah, there's 2 million people that work in delivery and warehouses and et cetera. Well, we're a tech company. Why would we want to put them on our books? To my point. Exactly. Why would you want to put them? I'd love to put my employees in some unconsolidated affiliate so I wouldn't have to show their salaries.
And he continued on.
Ask the people at Yahoo what the corporate governance at Alibaba is like. They woke up one day and found out that Ant Financial Alipay was taken from them, quite literally taken from them. Everybody forgets that. And Alibaba said it was because of regulatory reasons. We have to own it entirely. But that didn't really help the Yahoo shareholders who suddenly realized that something of great value was not theirs anymore. We also have a company that has a market cap that was basically the equal of Amazon's in January. So when people tell me, well, this will be the next Amazon, I always say it already has been, basically. I mean, it's already at a $280 billion total enterprise value.
And that, of course, was all back at the very early part of this year. So it's kind of very interesting to go back to the Wayback Machine and take a look at what do the big men of Wall Street think of this after the beginning of the year. But what can you say? Isn't that the perfect company? Or isn't that what Enron did? The question is, when do all these things come out in the wash and do they matter? A lot of these companies, everybody always says it, and it's one of William Buffett's favorite saying, and that is, of course, you can tell who is out there swimming without a bathing suit when the tide goes out. And unfortunately, you really can't, looking at these things. My thought on this one was that downgrade from Moody's on the debt, and they're kind of starting to get to the point where they think that China may be cracked and or broken on the debt side of the country. So kind of interesting. Other stocks of interest I wanted to see out here and how they were doing. Ternium, TX is a symbol on this one. It did come up and test its previous high. We spiked 2704 on February 23rd with 1.2 million shares. Got into it yesterday with a whopping 400,000 shares, or 1/4, 25% of the previous volume. People were dying to get into this one. It has pulled back today. Not much volume so far, just about 200,000 shares. I wanted to also take a look and see how some of these airline stocks were doing up here at the highs. Again, about the same volume for Southwest. March 1st, $59.58 was 5.75 million shares. Yesterday we had 3 million shares. Today, 2 million shares. Kind of going back into this, though, on the 22nd, but not hitting that high. We did have the 5.7 million shares. So we've gotten into that candle. We got into it with volume. Now we got volume of just 3 million shares yesterday, and now 2 million shares. Who knows how that will fit and finish out the day. But again, at highs, not seeing a lot of stocks either holding the highs if they have volume. If they don't have volume, a lot of them pulling back. Delta wanted to look at this one a little bit, as this one not at its highs, got back up to this gap down from the 6th of March that had 11.4 million shares. This got and hit it with 8.8 million shares. So what, 30% light. Did pull back, didn't get a lot of juice, has kind of come up. And this is where you really start looking at these patterns. And one close down below, I think, could set this up for a retest of this high volume thrust down on April 13th. So a lot of these stocks just look to me like they're in bigger trading ranges. Not a lot happening out here. Lululemon Athletic Corporation. This thing's been bouncing around its lows with lighter volume. Again, retail just stinks, so I can't pull the trigger on this. But $49.40 for the April 5th low. You got into it with 4 million shares. So a nice pullback from 6 million to 4 million shares. No real bounce out of this. 2 days ago, 1.2 million shares yesterday, 2.6 million shares today, 1.2 million shares. But again, not a lot of movement at any time. See what else is out there. Auto Nation. Wanted to see how this one was doing. Another one kind of beating on the lows. Of course, auto sales have not been good lately. I was wondering whether this can hold its April 6th low, $39.13, 2.25 million shares. Got into it with only about a fifth the volume. So I'm kind of interested to see how this does. Yesterday, 1.1 million shares, so maybe half the volume yesterday. Today, just 559,000 shares so far, although it did go just a tick lower. You want to close above 39.13. I'm just trying to figure out why Auto Nation would be looking a little bit better. Maybe they make more money, and I think they do on used cars than they do new. So maybe this is the kind of a little weird deal in Auto Nation where the new cars are not selling, but people are going to replace their cars that just gave up the ghost with some used cars, and maybe that's a lot better. They certainly make a ton more money on used cars than they make on new. Wanted to check back in with IBM and see if there's anything going on with this one. I keep on thinking that it has one more big gap in it on the downside. Again, you can give me a call at 877-927-6648, or you can post a message in the den. Oh, well, I guess you can't today. You call me that, or send me an email at path@tfnn.com. What else can you do? Okay. Let's go back and look at a few other ones from the other day. I wanted to check back in with O'Reilly. Of course, all these auto part companies got slammed yesterday. So we'll see what they're doing today. About the same as the close yesterday. Of course, we had that huge volume, 3.5 million shares yesterday on May 23rd. Today, same kind of range, almost the same price as the closing price. So not much going on. Toll Brothers had fairly decent numbers yesterday. Average selling price of the car, their houses were about $880,000, which went down a little bit if I remember the numbers off the top of my head. Now this thing did spike, came right back down, and not any kind of real push on this one back up. It hit that resistance level and turned around and ran south. Take two. This one was a very interesting move off earnings. This thing spiked yesterday, sold off, opened up higher today, and it's continued higher. Early volume. This thing is very spiky, especially the way it worked in active after earnings. We'll talk about short interest in this one. Come back.
Tom O'Brien's weekly gold letter, The Gold Report, gives complete and concise coverage of the entire gold market. Inside, you'll get Tom's commentary on gold, the dollar, the rand, the bond, the XAU, the HUI, and detailed coverage of nearly 25 mining stocks. He'll give you the entry price, price target, and stop price of each stock trade. The Gold Report is a long-term newsletter where the focus is on building real wealth through the management of a successful portfolio of gold stocks. With a lifetime of knowledge and almost 12 years of writing his informative weekly newsletter, The Gold Report, Tom O'Brien can provide you with the important market information to help you make better trades in the gold market. Don't let the next bull run in gold pass you by. To get a month-long free trial to The Gold Report, an $85 value, visit the front page of TFNN.com today.
David White's newsletter, The Technology Insider, is focused like a laser on finding the next big things in technology. If you had invested only $10,000 in Microsoft in 1986, you'd have been a millionaire by 2000. Disruptive technology like Microsoft's is the key to these massive long-term profits, and the Tech Insider is the vehicle from TFNN to capitalize on these opportunities. This is the go-to newsletter that identifies, monitors, and profits on mostly little-known cutting-edge companies with great long-term prospects. David's experience is as an inventor of Emmy-winning animation products for TV and Hollywood that propelled a company public. Match that with 14 years as a full-time trader, and he's uniquely qualified to guide you through the light-speed world of ever-evolving high-tech. If you're ready to ride the next big technology bull market for less than $40 per month, log on to TFNN.com and get your 2-week free trial to the Technology Insider. Get in on the ground floor of the next big thing today.
Hi, I'm Steve Rhodes, host of the Trader's Edge, heard daily at TFNN.com and author of Mastering Probability, a daily investment and trading newsletter service that I send out each morning by 8 a.m. My morning newsletter service covers exactly what the markets have been doing since last night's close, providing you with an edge on your trading day ahead. You get actionable trading ideas, including the exact entry, stop, and profit targets. Plus, I'll teach you the patterns and hidden market correlations that will make you a better trader. As a subscriber, you'll gain access to my 90-minute money management workshop, where I'll teach you the secrets that'll save your assets. The bottom line, I've got your back, including a 30-day money-back guarantee. See for yourself the type of analysis I provide each trading day by signing up for Mastering Probability today. With nothing to lose, this is an offer you should not pass on. Mastering Probability can be found under Trading Newsletters on the front page of TFNN.com.
Catch Tom O'Brien, professional trader and educator, founder of TFNN. Also, a special guest on CNBC. Tom will bisect and dissect the markets. The Tom O'Brien Show, next on TFNN.
And we're going to go to our phone caller, who's John in Philadelphia. How are you doing today, John?
David, I'm doing well. Hope you're doing the same with the technology snafus down in Florida today.
Yep, doing well.
Say, David, question for you here on the comments, the introduction you've made regarding applying machine learning technology to trading. Could I ask you to just take an ETF that we all know, the QQQs, which tracks the NDX 100 index. Mm-hmm. Can you just take that particular instrument, that index, and share conceptually what a machine learning program would be doing as applied to generating profitable trading on that instrument?
the big thing is kind of, I'm going to apply it to chess. Most people or most chess players can't think more than 4 plays ahead. A champion chess player, 2021, the best in the world. We can only put a handful of these things and figure out how they all fit together, mostly because they're nonlinear. You know, they're at some point, volume's good. Sometimes it's great. Sometimes it's so much it just exhausts. Stock doesn't go anywhere, or the market doesn't go anywhere because everybody dived in one day. And it's those relationships that are nonlinear that just because you get twice as much volume one day as the next doesn't mean the stock goes up twice what it did the day before, right? The same inputs don't equal the same outputs, right?
Got it.
So what these things will be able to do is take a lot of different things and try to find out which ones are more important. And of course, a lot of the pattern matching in there will look at patterns you can't find. Machine learning in, let's say, like Amazon's website, they may be looking at literally thousands of different things that you do and you buy and try to hook back up the connections that let them know what the next ad is that they need to show you on Amazon. Now, that's a direct one-to-one comparison, right? I just need to know what you might buy tomorrow, and I'm going to put that ad on. The little difference is that you're asking for a prediction in this, and a prediction is a series of events. It's not a coin flip, which basically what you're going to buy next, right? You're either going to be right or wrong. But in a series of things like a pattern in the stock market, if I write rules that say I'm looking for 10 to 15 days above a 9-day moving average, then a couple of days below it, then a couple of days above it, every time something slightly changes, I have to write more rules, which then means that some of those things are not going to work very well.
Right.
The idea is that everything in machine learning is turned in, for the most part, into a probability. So if I had probability X that a moving average meant something to the stock, or the volume surge meant something, or something else, you can go back and look for relationships that humans would never, ever see. They can look those 21 moves ahead that you can never do as a human, or at least I'm not going to do. Not many of us are Mr. Kasparov, and in fact, even Kasparov lost, of course, it's been over 10 years, hadn't it, since he lost a Deep Blue. So that's it. Machine learning allows you to put weights on a lot of different things that humans could never focus on, more than about 4 or 5 things at one time. Thousands of things with machine learning can go into a prediction in the stock market. We'll see you next Monday. I'm going to be gone. So when you can, not when you have to.
Larry Pesavento has just started his brand new service, Fibonacci 24/7, and he's already delivering content to his subscribers on a daily basis when the market's opened and even on weekends. Each Monday, you'll receive Larry's written report that provides detailed commentary and a summary on the charts and videos that Larry sends out. And throughout the week, when warranted, Larry will send out via charts or videos or both the key markets that he is watching during the day. This will be up-to-the-date, active trading information that will help you in your daily trading. In Larry's first week alone, he sent out 25 charts, 6 videos, and a full report to his subscribers in just 1 week. If you're a technical trader that uses patterns and retracements to trade, then Larry's service Fibonacci 24/7 is something that you must try. Right now, new subscribers can get a full 30-day money-back guarantee. With nothing to risk, sign up now to Larry Pesavento's Fibonacci 24/7 by visiting the front page of TFNN.com under Trading Newsletters.
You're watching Tiger TV.